Hello and welcome. I'm Tafra Gramu. Ethiopia hosts over 850,000 refugees, most of them from neighboring countries. And many of those refugees survive on remittances and other forms of support. But my guest today, Bethlehem Tesfazion, and her sisters have found a way out. They've clung to a trade that has been a family tradition. Bethlehem, very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you.
When did you come to Ethiopia? Was it in October of 2015?
Yes, 26th of October.
And how did you manage to come to Ethiopia? I know that you had a medical condition in Eritrea. You had issues with your kidney, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
To get out of the country because I was diagnosed with kidney problems, kidney stones. I have bilateral kidney stones. Then I cannot have a treatment back there. So I have a medical board. Then I went to Khartoum, Sudan. After that, after I made some checkups, I decided to come to Ethiopia. And I asked a visa, and I was granted a visa.
Was it smooth for you to get the visa?
Yes, it was smooth.
When you came to Ethiopia, what you did first was, after having settled down, you went and sought medical assistance, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
There is an institution for kidney and related disease.
Yeah, the kidney center at the St. Paul's.
Yes, around Shebele Hotel. I went there. I was diagnosed with the same problem that I was being told for 5 years back home. And then I was told to make some change in the way nutritional facts, in the way I take water and some diets, I think. That's how I managed. And right now I'm still okay.
Okay. So you're getting some treatment, periodic treatment?
Yes,
at the
every
St.
3
Paul
months.
Where? At the kidney center under the St. Paul Millennium Medical College, right?
Yes. I go there every 3 months and I follow my checkups. And
so you're in good shape now?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You and your family left Ethiopia after the war in 1998. You were basically deported from Ethiopia, right? Yes. You were a 7 years old girl. Do you remember that?
Yes, by then I remember that. I was 7 years old and at the time I was a kindergarten student. I remember it well.
So you remember crossing the border to Eritrea and so on?
Yes, yes.
So what was the feeling like in the family?
What I can understand is I never told that I was an Eritrean, and I felt this was my country. And when we got deported, that's what I felt, that this country was not my country. Then it took us 3 or 5 days, I think, through buses. Then when we reached Shire, I think, then we exchanged. We left Ethiopian bus and carry on with Eritrean buses. So it was difficult to adjust.
So it was difficult for your family to settle back in Eritrea, right?
Yes, yeah. Yes.
In Eritrea, let me get you back to Eritrea. You graduated from
educational psychology.
In educational psychology from
EIT, Eritrea Institute of Technology.
You graduated in educational psychology.
Yes.
So you worked in that field or what?
I gave my community service. Then afterwards, since I was diagnosed with my conditions, then I have to get out from that country.
Okay, but before you went to college, you had to join this military training, whatever that is.
Yes, for 1 year.
In Sawa for 1 year. That's a compulsory.
It's a must, yes. You have to do that so as to continue your.
Okay, you spent a year in training, right?
Yes, in training, aside with our 12th grade classes.
And then you take matriculation? Yes. And then you join the Eritrean
Institute of Technology.
So that's how it goes, right?
Yes.
You go first there.
That's the trend. Everybody follows that way.
When you came back to Ethiopia, of course, on medical condition, then you decided that this is where you want to stay. And you sought political asylum. Yes,
I sought a political asylum because I cannot go to another countries and I cannot be comfortable with, because I'm so familiar with the culture, very close, and I can speak fluent Amharic. It seems like second home. That's why I try to stay over here and find out what I can do till I proceed with my scholarships.
You're aiming to
To continue my education on master's level, I think.
Right. Not in Ethiopia, but somewhere abroad, somewhere in the US or
Yes.
in Europe, right?
Yes.
You've applied for that.
Yeah, I'm applying for that, and I'm waiting for the results.
So coming back to Ethiopia, like you said, it's just like home, right?
Yes.
Have you reconnected with family and friends here who've stayed behind?
Yes, we got reconnected. Me and my family. Yes, we got reconnected.
So it was a very pretty smooth transition, we would say?
I would say that, yes.
So-
Yeah, it was not difficult at all.
When you say it wasn't difficult at all and that you blended so easily and so swiftly into the Ethiopian social fabric, what do you exactly mean? I mean, how did you manage? Because for close to 15 years you were not in Ethiopia, and you left Ethiopia when you were pretty young.
Yes, there are some changes, but you feel that you are connected because the people are so welcoming. They understand that you came from Eritrea. There is a sense of brotherhood, I think. So it was not difficult. And me, as speaking Amharic, was a plus.
A plus. So what do you talk about? I mean, what's the subject of conversation when you meet and about these two countries, which are in a state of no war, no peace, right? We're in a state of stalemate. So when you talk with your friends or newly found friends in Ethiopia, what do you talk as far as this kind of relationship between the two peoples are concerned?
The good thing about the people over here is they don't give any they don't give any shit about the political system, what happens or not. They only concern about the daily basis, what we can do, what we can work, what's my hobbies, their hobbies, what they do on their day life, what they work, how do they continue their education. We have a different setup, and we just try to tell our histories, and they tell us what we missed.
There is a lot in common between these two peoples. Is that what you're saying?
A lot in common.
So speaking about daily life, how to make ends meet and so on, now that you're here for a little over 2 years with your sisters.
My family, my sisters.
And understand that you've started producing traditional clothes, which are pretty much popular in Highland Eritrea and Highland Ethiopia, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
We think about it last year in January or November, I think. We sit together, 6 of us, and we are very much, we have the same interest when it comes to the Habesha dresses.
Because your mother was
My mom
teacher.
was a tailor, yes.
Tailor, yeah.
Was a teacher. And though we don't see her or I don't remember her teaching, but there is this sense that my mom can do it, and there's in our blood, I think. We have a good taste on choosing the colors, the threads. There is also a market for it, because everybody wants to have the dresses. And why don't we try to do that and make a living out of it?
So you said we were not going to live on remittances and on external support. We have to stand on our feet, make ends meet, and survive, even though we're refugees somewhere else, right? I mean, that's what you decided when we have to stand on our feet. Is that the
That's the mentality, yes, of course. Because people around here, all refugees, not only Eritreans, live only on remittance, and that's not enough because the living is costly, and you cannot manage to live only with those remittance. And me and my sisters are the unusual refugees because we have to make something out of it, because we left everything behind, and what we have on hand is our dreams and hopes. So we cannot bargain with our dreams and hopes. So at least we can manage to see what we can do with what's on hand. Then we will continue with our interests, hobbies, and our professions, I think. That's the way we come up with Fasika Habesha dress.
Your hopes and dreams finding some currency through the products, your traditional Habesha clothes. What is it that you produce exactly?
We produce Habesha dress for any occasions, even casual dresses, but typically traditional ones, even for weddings, baptism, any occasions for boys, children's, women's, ladies, for anyone. Even we produce bags, dresses, shoes.
So you're beginning to be popular, right?
Yes.
Among your clientele in Europe, North America, and including Australia, right?
Yes.
You sell your products online.
We sell it online because we cannot find any stores over here because we are refugees. So that's the only main or the only team that we can follow and see how we can expose ourselves and see the reactions. So we divide the works into each other. Both my two sisters, the youngest one, are the models. I do the design. The oldest of the family manage the customer service and so on. In that way, the market is so promising. We have seen from the 2 likes, 3 likes, we have been grown to 10,000 likes, 10,000 followers.
Really, on your Facebook page?
On our Facebook page.
Wow.
So that's a reward for us. That's how we tell that we are on the right track.
On the right track. Do you feel independent as far as supporting yourself as a family?
Yes, we feel that because the tradition is there is some cycles in it because there is Shama, there is a tailor, there is Tilf, and in these cycles you include a lot of people.
Right.
In that way you are creating some markets for people to be employed. We feel a sense of independence, I think.
You just said that as refugees you cannot have your own stores in Ethiopia, but the Ethiopian government is revisiting its refugee proclamation of 2004. So that would obviously allow you to own stores, work in Ethiopia, and so on. You see, that's a timely thing, right?
Yes, that's what we're waiting for, because that's a very good point, because the source of irregular migration is that, because nobody can wait for remittance to live for years, decades, and then you stop counting, and you stop dreaming, you give up your hopes. That we don't want to happen to many of our refugee fellows. So creating work opportunity, give us a permit is a bonus. It's a plus.
As you earlier said, you are the unusual kind of refugee in Ethiopia, that you make a living not by remittances but by producing some products and availing them in the market for sale, of course. So all the refugees are living on remittances and some external support and so on. And I know that there is a migration project in Ethiopia, and you are pretty much involved in that project, right, as a volunteer. Tell me about that.
The migration project is community initiative. What we do is we collect information on the destination countries, because Europe is one of the most prior countries that all the refugee fellows want to go to, and the routes, the dangers, the reality itself when they go there, what happens, the asylum seeking process, the policies,
the middlemen,
everything. We try to include everything in the agenda, and after that we try to see who is the target, who had the idea to go and proceed the irregular migration through Khartoum, through Sudan, then through Libya, and then we create a group discussion. We present our ideas. We try to listen what's the source, and we try to make them to have a second thought of what they are doing. In that way, it's really it gives you a wrenching pain to see what they are going through. You know it because you are part of it. It's at some point, if I don't have any dreams, if I cannot work, what would I do? Because an idle mind is the place where you can go for a desperation decisions. So out of these desperations, I don't blame them. That's the only way to get out of being in the waiting list. You never know where it ends.
So do people listen?
Yes. They listen, they give their concerns.
And change their mind?
Some of them. Not all of them, but we managed to convince some of them.
So are people interested in coming to your meetings or something? I mean, is it easy to bring them together? Because quite often you said
it's not easy. At some point, we go to their points.
Which meaning?
One-to-one consultation.
Oh, okay.
When you heard someone is living or someone is desperate, we try to reach him in person, one-to-one, or friendly manners. In friendly manners, we don't make it so professional or something. Just like you talk about as if it's happening, and you give them an informed decision, to make an informed decision. So in that way, they do listen. But do they act on what they heard? It's up to them. But we give them a second chance to think about.
You can't stop them physically from from living. And I understand that very many refugees have psychosocial problems, and you're trained peripherally to do that, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, refugees with no hope in refugee camps, with no destination to look into. I know very many refugees who started suffering from one form of mental illness or another. So that's quite disturbing.
Yes, it's a crisis.
And the waiting has no end.
Yes.
And that's why.
As you can understand, people have a need, and that need has a levels. And you cannot limit a person to live in what level, which is the basic ones. That is what's happening in the camps. So you cannot give them the hopes, because they are only limited with this basic needs. You eat, you go to sleep, but then the next day is the same with the previous one. Even though you told them that this will stop at some point, they need a reward which show them the real picture is coming. But missing this in the reality, I felt that this is the concern of the international community, to make change, not only to give them hope, which is not there.
So what is the best option, you think, for refugees? They have to settle outside of the camp? I mean, they have to be integrated fully into the host communities or something, as the plan is? What is the way forward, do you think? Because you're a refugee, you feel the pain, and you live through all this, although you're living in this town, in this city, yeah?
Yes. Since a lot of people comes every day with a lot in number, and I can understand that Ethiopia cannot handle it only by itself. That's why I'm calling the international community to come and act in a way. People need to integrate, to work, to see their dreams being achieved, to be educated, to go with their needs. Europe is a destination because it gives them all their needs, not only because Europe is an Europe people go there. They felt their dreams is out there. It can be granted over there. If Ethiopia, with the help of the international community, can manage to give this demand and need, people will live happily over here.
What about the concerns from the Ethiopian side? You know, the refugees, most of them are trained in Sawa. Basically, they serve in the army and so on, and they cannot vet them when they come to Ethiopia. They cannot differentiate between a clean refugee and someone who is embedded there. What do you say to that uneasiness from the Ethiopian side, if you will?
Yes, they can feel this way because that's how we train up. But was it a choice? It was not a choice. And this is the choice that people make, to come, to cross the country, and in the other way, that's the hostile country, back home. But if they make this decision, which seems they are so peaceful, and they are there just to be themselves as humans, not the military ones, or to do some tragedy. So Eritrean people are calm, peaceful, but they do want to be reliant on themselves.
Well, Bethlehem, thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Good luck with what you're doing. It's quite a remarkable thing, I would have to say. And thank you very much indeed again.
Thank you.